Tell me more about the crushed vertebrae. Do you know how that happened?
No, I don't, man. I trained a lot with my unit, my military unit. We deployed a lot, and so we would do constant training. We did a lot of vehicle mobility training, and we did a lot of car crash training where you would, drive through cars and smash cars, and there would be times you'd have to get hit in a car. So I would imagine that's part of it. And then when I was a police officer, I was running code to an incident and stopped at a red light, thought it was cleared, and went into the intersection and just got smashed by another car. So I would imagine it was one of those car wrecks for sure.
And one thing you mentioned military. One thing I wanted to follow up on was the VA. You hear nightmares about the VA. How have they been for you without trying to without getting sued? Like how has it been?
The VA is it's an interesting place. I think there's great people that work at the VA, but it's the government, man. And it's free healthcare for a reason. I think it's really hit and miss. I've been in some places, I've moved around a little bit. There's some VAs that are phenomenal, and then there's some that they just suck. And again, you know, for the doctors, you're not always going to get the best doctors. They don't pay, eventually you're capped by a government salary. So, if you could make $500,000 in the real world, why would you do it for $200,000 at the VA? And so I don't want to disparage the VA again, because I think there's a lot of great people that work there, but it's definitely a flawed system for sure.
Yeah, and it's the same thing with like workman's comp in even in the private sector where they just jerk you around until you've had this injury for weeks before you're allowed to see anybody, and it's all about capitalism, right? The doctor can't make money on that, so you're just getting pushed back and pushed back.
Yeah, and it's crazy. I tell people all the time, you have to be your own advocate. We live in a day and age where, there's so much information at your fingertips, almost overwhelmingly, right? You can get pulled in different directions, but be your own advocate. It's called the practice of medicine for a reason. If you go to your doctor and you think he has all the answers, you're misinformed about how medicine works. Half the time they're relying off what you tell them and your previous history. And then, if you're in the private sector, they got to see so many patients a day to keep the lights on. You get 10, 15 minutes, and they're on to the next. And so you have to advocate for yourself, know what your condition is, know what else is available, and be your own advocate.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, you got to be your own advocate, and you got to give them all the information too, because like you said, they have a limited amount of information. They have a chart there, and then they have a few symptoms you're giving them, and if you're hesitant to tell them exactly what's going on, that could really impact you for the rest of your life because they're going to make some choice based on not all the information. So yeah, sometimes it's the doctor's fault, sometimes it's your fault for not speaking up too.
100%.